Okay, so I guess my issue uh, kind of stems from the work that I do being very physical. And as I'm getting older, I'm finding my body less inclined to want to allow me to do such physical work. And also having, old injuries that are repeatedly and repetitively getting more injured just makes my job less fulfilling and sustainable than it used to be. I think also I also have a drive to just be of service to people. And while my job is in some way service to my clients in that, I'm providing them a product that they want. For me, my calling is really to be of service at a deeper level, more in a way that allows people to heal and grow in whatever way, be it intellectually or spiritually, emotionally, that kind of engagement, as opposed to, growing their portfolio by upgrading their house. So, so I guess that's what is for those two major reasons are what has led me to look into going back to school and pursuing a career in nursing. So I guess, does that illustrate my?
Yeah, just to recap, what I'm hearing is that you're recognizing that the toll of the physical labor, the manual labor that you're performing now is maybe not sustainable, and is continuing to kind of exacerbate old injuries and other issues. And as you're looking ahead to your future, you're kind of wondering if this is sustainable in nature. And it sounds like it also doesn't necessarily align with your interests or your passions around helping people heal in some sort of capacity. I'm curious if there was a time in your life where you felt more in alignment with those passions or interests, and what that looked like.
Yeah, so like a long time ago when I was first starting out, as a young pup in the real world, I started out young in kind of straddling like technology and hospitality, and so I relatively quickly, like most people, burnt out on hospitality. And so I continued to explore and work in the tech field. However, as much as technology is interesting to me and also comes very naturally, I found that I was not going to thrive in an environment of sitting in a desk at an office, and that if I was going to pursue tech as a field, I would likely, my thinking was I would really like to be out in the field, like, going out to places and being more hands-on. So I explored more networking technology where I could be out in the field, and it sort of guided me to home-based technology in the realm of security, surveillance, home automation, that kind of thing. Now, this was pre-Alexa, pre all of that kind of stuff that we have so readily available now. So the technology was much more obscure and had a fairly large learning curve. So it wasn't readily accessible to everybody like it is now. So along, back, I guess it was around 2006, 2007, my partner at the time, who had a long career of being a general contractor. And, I had learned from him just, kind of how to use tools and whatever. And I enjoyed working with my hands. So we kind of had this idea of like to combine our two businesses together, and work on doing, home-based technology and like building home theaters, working, in that way. So we decided, we were living in Portland, Maine at the time, and we decided we might be better suited to move back to my hometown, Hartford, because my parents are in real estate. They're very kind of well connected to people who were buying homes. It was also the housing rush. It was 2007. So people were spending lots of money on houses and upgrading and stuff. So we thought it was a good opportunity to build a solid business in that. So as I started working, I really enjoyed building stuff and working with my hands far more than I did sitting behind a desk. So we came down here shortly after we moved down here. We had the housing crash in 2008. So it kind of put we had to pivot. We did pivot. And, at that point, like we weren't able to get any clients who wanted to upgrade their houses with home automation at that time. So, however, we did continue working as contractors. So I learned basically everything I know now by doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I did for a long time enjoy working with my hands and that kind of thing. I did find that very fulfilling, and I still do in some ways. I like finishing a project and seeing the outcome and seeing the having the response from my clients, because I have a particularly maybe a tendency towards perfection, and I really like, I like to do things the right way, and maybe other people don't notice things as much as I do, but I'm very detail oriented. So and my clients are always, very happy with the product. So I guess circling back, does that kind of answer your question about my fulfillment level? I know it was a little longer than.
Yeah. So it sounds like you kind of touch on the trajectory of getting into the sort of skilled and hands-on labor, and, that seeing projects get finished and paying attention to those small details has been a source of fulfillment. I guess the question maybe that I was posing that I wasn't as clear as was, what's the connection to the sort of caregiving that's associated with nursing? What's the drive? What led you to kind of decide that might be the next chapter to pursue in your career?
So there's probably many drivers, but there's two major drivers. The first is growing up with a severely disabled older sister that we cared for as a family. So I learned from my entire childhood, growing up into my teenage years, being a caregiver. But that was part of my natural. It kind of. I think I probably was like that a little bit to begin with, anyway, as a nurturer. But it really got developed and honed with taking care of my sister. So I'm also like incredibly good in a crisis, very focused, very calm. I've seen lots of blood, seen all sorts of, things that most people would cringe at, and I'm totally okay with it. So that's a major driver. Also, my own recovery from addiction is a major driver. I really find that service not only supports my own recovery, but I also just like to be a part of helping people get in touch with whatever it is that supports their own healing and healing themselves, right? So, I think we look at often there's obvious like external healing things, like your doctor has some surgery or something that can heal you. But I think there's also this, at least 50% or whatever or more even is a self-healing. So that's how I find it for myself anyway. And I think that combining the two and helping people to get to their best place of healing, coming from through external sources as well as their own internal sources, that really appeals to me. And it's how I've approached my own recovery. I'm open and ask for help when I need it from external sources. However, I recognize how much of that healing comes from my own perceptions and my own work on myself. So I guess that's how I'd answer that. I don't know if there any.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing there is, it's one of the threads is that it kind of ties into a role that you played in your development with your sister, whether it was, a role that you volunteered for or not. It seems like it was one that was very fulfilling to you and meaningful. And it also sounds like your recovery has played a significant role in sort of shaping your ideas about what the role of a caregiver looks like.
Yeah.
And the balance between the person who's in the position as the provider or the nurse or the doctor and the person who's healing it is, and how much of their sort of motivation and their willingness and their openness to explore what healing looks like for them plays a role in that. Was there when you think back to caregiving for your sister, did you feel in contrast to what you're doing now, did you feel a difference in terms of your level of like fulfillment and satisfaction, or in comparison to some of your other jobs that you've done? Is there a difference? Do you feel more satisfied?
So that's a tricky question to answer, but it's a loaded question. So, growing up, I did not have, it was not what, there's no normal, but it was far from what most people experience in a growing up experience. And I think it was very difficult to be a caregiver at such a young age for both myself and my other non-disabled sister. We definitely, there were ways in which we sacrificed a lot of our own selves, and it's hard to say. I have no reference point, so but I guess to sum it all up, I will tell you that had I not had Kara, my oldest sister, in my life, in the roles that we played as a family, I don't think that I would be, thinking honestly, like I think I would barely be an acceptable human being. Honestly, I think I would just be like such a, I don't know, obviously I have no reference, but I feel like I would be just like a horribly uncaring person. Quite the opposite of that. And so I feel like I owe my humanness, if you will, to my sister. And I don't even know if this is answering your question at all, but I don't know how else to explain it. And all my life, throughout my life, as difficult as the struggle was with my sister, and of course there was resentments there because there was feelings of abandonment with my parents because they had to give my sister so much care and attention that we didn't get. I always had this we were the three of us, me and myself and Serena and Kara, were incredibly close. And there was a bond there that was like, a sibling bond that was, I know other siblings who are close, but it was it was different for us. We were like exceptionally close in a way that that I don't know that a lot of people experience. So that was really beautiful and wonderful. And there's also a quality to people who are who have severe disabilities that almost like, because their physical capacity is limited, their emotional and spiritual sides almost are even stronger in a way, if that makes sense. Kind of like if you're deaf, your hearing gets better, or if you're blind, your hearing, or you know what I'm saying, your senses get stronger in that way. So again, I don't know if this is answering your question at all. So you asked about comparisons of fulfillment.
Yeah.
Between the things, right? So there's no job that I ever felt that kind of satisfaction and fulfillment in, ever.
Seems like it really brought you to kind of into contact with compassion and empathy. You described sort of, the qualities that make you human, and sort of, caring. And, I would imagine that empathy and compassion are probably embedded in that humanness, being able to sort of be in space or share space with somebody who has needs that are not being met, whether
Right.
it's
And that's I guess the part of the humanness that I'm talking about, that I feel like the compassion and just the ability to like to be vulnerable, and all of those human things, which I think a lot of people really struggle with those things to and I feel like, had I not had Cara in my life, I would not be so in touch with that side of myself, and I would not be, again, I have no reference point, but knowing myself, and I've always thought like, wow, I would have been a total prick had I not had her in my life. So more of a prick than I probably already am. But yeah, so I don't think that level of it, like, however, it has allowed me to be that way towards people who aren't, that I'm not so, they don't love so much, and I also have this like kind of quality of, which again, I think stems from Cara, because she was not always capable of verbalizing her needs. And she also had her mood was very difficult for her to regulate, so she was often led, or her moods and her way of communicating and her outward expression was often the result of physiological, whether it be like hypoxia or a pH imbalance. So she often had these wild mood swings or whatever. So I became very good at seeing underneath the expression, and to figure out the underlying need that exists, which I think is a skill that, as a nurse, would be like hugely beneficial, because you often come in with somebody who the expression is anger or whatever it is, and there's always this underlying need. And so being able to see that in people has fostered a level of compassion for me, and something that I really, more recently, as we've gotten to know each other too, that has really blossomed for me, and I'm finding myself more easily getting connected and fostering that compassion like I did when I was younger. That all through the time of my my addiction, I had on mute, kind of. It was, I could be less compassionate. And so I don't know. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
feel like I have a very hard time like pinpointing stuff. You know me, I'm like make a big circle around everything. So
If you had a magic wand and you could sort of have the power to sort of immediately change your situation, from your current sort of job and career to whatever that vision is for yourself as a nurse, what would that look like? What would you create with that wand for yourself in that domain of your life?
So I think the simple answer to that question for you, I'll give you a break on this one. The simple answer really is to not have the hurdles that I anticipate having because of my my legal situation of being a convicted felon with the getting into nursing school and all those hoops that I will have to jump through to become a nurse. So
you would remove those obstacles.
Yeah, if I could remove those obstacles, I definitely, that would be, that would be magical.
Okay. Well, given the presence of the potential presence of those obstacles with your history and your record, how likely do you see moving into a field of nursing and having a career in nursing, from on the low end of the scale, not very likely, to high end of the scale, very likely?
So you want a number between 1 and 10?
Yeah.
Keep it to that answer. I can't give you some long-winded like explanation. Corey, you should know me better than that. Honestly, I really have no idea. I'm going to say 5 because it's really, I don't know, but I'll tell you this, I'm going to go at it with a full tenacity and drive and determination that it deserves in my life and that I deserve. So
that leads me to my next question, and I think, from a 5 could go either way, right?
Right.
You're kind of leaving the door open to whatever happens.
Because I don't know, like, I mean, it's out of my hand, so I don't really know, but
what you do have, sort of control over, which you touched on, is the way you go about it and your ability, which leads me to my next question. On a scale from 1 to 10, 10 sort of being I'm very capable, I have a lot of confidence in myself and my ability to kind of pursue things that I'm interested in and overcome obstacles, to 1 being on the low end of the scale, I'm feeling a little pessimistic, or I'm not feeling too optimistic about this.
Again, you want one number, and Corey, come on, you know me. I'm wavering, I would say like my drive is a 10.
Okay.
However, I'm aware of my own limitations and that I need to keep focused on and do all of the things that I know how to do to help with my historic issues around getting getting frustrated when things get really tough and there's a lot of adversity working against me, and that tendency to like fuck it kind of thing, and to be aware of that and to use all the skills that I've developed to facilitate, getting back to that place of, okay, it's an obstacle, like, let's figure it out. You know what I mean? As opposed to like just tossing it in the can, because I have done that many times. And so it will be kind of like a balance, you know, and I think I'll turn a lot to my friends for that, like, you know, because I call my friends to act as sounding boards often, you know, and I'll bitch up a storm about something or whatever. And so often they, like, you know, give me the mirror that I need and help guide me to remember that I have all these skills that will help to, instead of just like giving up. So does that answer your question?
Yeah. I think, you know, it sounds like you have a lot of awareness, reflecting on your history of when things get tough, and you're sort of in that space of, you know, where there's some tension or some resistance from what it is you're moving towards, where you're inclined to say, you know, F it, and kind of scrap it. And it sounds like having that awareness, you can go into kind of facing some of these obstacles and challenges, knowing that that's your default, and using some coping skills, using your support system to help you to sort of meet those challenges and say, oh, here's an opportunity, to sort of, you know, navigate this and maybe learn something from it.
100%.
And it sounds like you're, you know, you said your drive was a 10. So, you know, harnessing that drive and your passion, you know, for this work, you know, as a means to continue to kind of proceed even when things get challenging. I'm curious, where you are in this process so far, and what some small steps or some broader steps might look like for you to sort of assess what you need to do, or what you can do, what you want to do, what you're willing to do, what you have the capacity to do,
Yeah.
right now to start moving towards this goal.
So I've done some more research on the schooling aspect of it, and I've learned a few things. One, that Connecticut state-run community colleges now offer, if you fit the eligibility criteria, which I believe I do, you can do community college classes for free or whatever it is. They're essentially like closer to free. So that's a huge encouragement as well. You know, I understand I'll probably have to pay for nursing school. However, if I'm doing prerequisites, which I would have to do, and those would be, you know, free or next to free, or however it works, if I qualify for that criteria, then that's definitely encouraging. So, you know, and researching, you know, where I could go, and I've gotten close to just some answers about that. Capital Community College is a state-run school, so I'm one step in that direction. They also have a nursing school. I was looking more at Goodwin for their nursing program. So I still have a lot of answers to get, but one of the major things that I've done in this pursuit is that I started the steps to petition the judge, my sentencing judge, to terminate my supervised release early, so that when I go to apply for nursing, one of the criteria, like, you know, there's no law that says felons can't apply for nursing school and get in. However, one of the major factors that they look at is the length of time that has passed since the end of your sentence.
Gotcha.
So because I'm currently on probation, and that does not statutorily terminate until September 2025, but I'm eligible to petition the judge to terminate my supervised release early. So I've gotten that ball rolling. Totally up in the air. I have no idea how that's gonna go. I'm hopeful, but you know, that's one of the arguments that I'm using to. There's a major reason why I'd like to terminate that. So without that happening, it's sort of, I know that I can't be on probation and apply to nursing school.
Right.
So it kind of would be a big determining factor. So, I'm still going to pursue something, anyway, but that's a major thing. Obviously I have prerequisites to do before I could apply for nursing school anyway, but yeah, it would be a major step in the right direction. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So it sounds like, even if the judge was to not honor this request, by the time that you get your prerequisites done, anyways, you might be in a position sort of naturally to be in a better place to apply to a nursing program, even if the judge, doesn't grant that request. And if he does, then that puts you in an even better situation. Given that you stated that there would be some prerequisites to take and that you might be able to get some or all of that funded, what would that look like in terms of admissions and enrollment and financial aid, or sort of any scholarships or anything you might qualify for? Have you
So I literally just found out about the free schooling like a week ago, 10 days ago. So
Nice.
so it's just come up.
Okay.
I haven't I also had just done this huge job, and so I haven't had very much time to spend on doing a FAFSA or anything like that. So that's all still kind of up in the air.
Okay.
But I've done it before. I've done the FAFSA, and it's not, it's nothing beyond. It's not very complicated.
Okay.
And I will reach out in the next probably within the next 30 days, and I'll probably also have more, not necessarily an answer from the judge, but I'll have at least the petition that my attorney's kind of handling for me. That will hopefully within the next 30 days, they'll have something for me to look over, and I can add or subtract or whatever. And during that period of time, my goal is to kind of get something like at least towards putting it into the judge, and then also getting some more answers around that. Probably talking to an admissions person at the college. I already know what the prerequisites are that I would need. So kind of looking at what the best timing, what semester to start in, and also kind of planning my major shoulder replacement surgery, all kind of lining up so it's a lot to plan for within the next. So I'd be looking at within the next year.
Okay.
To do all of it in such a way that I can have the surgery heal, get what I mean. It's a lot of planning. So I yesterday had my CAT scan done for the hardware manufacturer to make the hardware for my shoulder. So it's small incremental steps to get to the goal, but it's all happening in the right direction. But it'll be a lot of kind of planning things out timing wise. So
yeah, it sounds like you're already starting to take some steps, and
yeah,
you mentioned that there's a lot of planning that goes into the timeline and what needs to happen and in what order, and that you're sort of wrapping your arms around that right now. And it seems like you also have sort of a broader time frame of within a year. So within a year, where do things fit, which I think is a really realistic way to go about that. And to it sounds like you're exploring. You've already determined what you need to take. You're familiar with the FAFSA process. You've already created the petition with the judge. You're in the process of coordinating the shoulder surgery. And so just figuring out the timeline of those pieces. Yeah, it sounds like you're on your way. I'll be curious to hear where you're at in a few more weeks when we meet again.
Yeah.
And I look forward to hearing some updates.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, I'm going to end the recording here. Let's see.